So, congrats on Boy Meets Girl. I love the movie. You had a very unconventional casting process. Could you tell me a little bit how you got involved with the film?
Eric, the director, I think he Googled transgender women, and that's what brought up my YouTube page. And I guess he felt I had sort of some natural ability in my vlogs, and he messaged me. I thought he was some crazy guy on the internet, and and from there, like we Skyped and we talked and uh, kind of read lines and saw where it was going to go. And then I actually had him talk to my dad
Was
before.
that your idea?
A part of it was my idea. I think Eric actually suggested, like, if I felt comfortable, I would let him talk to my parents.
What was your dad's reaction to?
So he was really excited for me, but he was definitely like, Eric, you keep an eye on my girl and like no fishy business. And it was really cool.
Was it awkward at all? You just met these people and suddenly you have to do these really emotional scenes or intimate scenes together. How would you guys approach those?
You know what? Like the day before, Alex and I had our love scene together. Um, I was, I was having some difficulty, like just like even kissing her a little bit. I don't know. It was just I had more difficulty with it than I thought I would, and so we had to like rehearse a little bit and kind of get the giggles out for me before we could do that scene. Sex scenes are completely kind of, I mean, they're not completely choreographed, but it's definitely not as hot and great as the film makes it look like it was.
And Eric mentioned that you were really helpful in keeping the script accurate and what it would be like to live as a transgender or normal conversations. Like he mentioned that there were a few lines that you were able to tweak.
There was one line when I'm kind of coming out to Francesca, and originally the line was something like, she asked me, if I like my penis, and I was like, yeah, I love it. Oh, it's great, and all this, that, and the other thing, and I told Eric, this really isn't something I think a lot of trans women would say. Some would, some are comfortable with their bodies and all that, but I think generally no, we're not going to be like, yeah, we love having this
Yeah.
thing we really wish we weren't born with. So that was one of them. But really, there were only a couple of lines that I took some issue with. He was very careful to make sure that he was being authentic to a trans story, and he checked with me and a lot of other trans women to see if it felt accurate.
Could you relate to Ricky in her upbringing, or did you feel like you had a different experience growing up transgender?
There's some tragedy in her life that I did not personally experience, but I came from a very supportive, loving family. I mean, to this day, they, you know, love me to bits. And my community was pretty, uh, it was supportive. Like, it was a good place to grow up. I didn't get a ton of harassment. I mean, I was bullied, but I feel like a lot of kids are bullied, so I'm not going to say that. I mean, I had a pretty good childhood growing up. So, in that respect, and it was in Missouri. I grew up in Missouri. So, kind of, what would be considered a more conservative part of the country. And yeah, I had a pretty good, childhood and transition.
That's very lucky. When
Yeah,
when did you begin transitioning? Like, how old were you at the time?
I was like 18 or 19. Yeah, like 4 or 5 years ago, I started my transition. Unlike Ricky, who started, I think she was 12 or 13 in the movie.
I appreciated that they show the process in the movie. Taking the hormones and what it's like, what your body's going through. Um, do you, could you relate to that? Some of her complaints about, the breasts and all the other things that come along with it in the process.
Definitely, definitely. All of those issues, including, and I kid you not, like women who know that I'm trans coming up and be like, "Hey, do you have a tampon on you?" I'm like, "No,
So that
I don't
has
have."
happened before.
Oh, that's definitely happened. Like he was like, "Are you? Does that happen?" I'm like, "It does. I'm not kidding you." And people ask me, silly questions like, "Where did you get your penis?" I'm like, and it's pretty funny, but I love that the film shows those parts of being a trans person because it sort of demystifies um, what are what trans people's lives look like. I don't think a lot of people kind of know what goes into it.
Are there any questions that you're tired of being asked, or do you find offensive when people ask it?
Oh, I do get tired when people ask me, like, if I've had the surgery or if I'm going to get the surgery. In my opinion, I wouldn't ask you what's going on in your underwear, like,
Right.
upon meeting you. It's one thing if, like, a friend who I've known for a long time, asks me, but not people I just meet. I don't feel it's anybody's business, or to ask me, like, what kind of surgeries I've had. I think that's a very personal
Right.
thing as well. But at the same time, I think it's in moments like that, it's a good opportunity to educate. And I certainly don't want people to be afraid to ask questions because I think the more we know, the less ignorant people are going to be, and the more accepted the trans community will be.
Do you think it's important that people see movies like this, to lead to awareness and acceptance and understanding?
Definitely. Kind of like how Will and Grace sort of, I guess, introduced or made the general public more comfortable with gay people. I think the more the more movies that come out about trans people, and uh, the more visible the community becomes in mainstream media, I think everybody will be a little more comfortable and understand where we're coming from, and it won't seem so taboo or strange.
Because it seems like just in the past couple of years, how quickly I've seen trans characters, represented in films and TV shows. Do you think there's a reason why it's become so fast, just in the past couple of years?
We've seen a lot of the civil rights kind of come back with the minorities. People are refusing to be second class citizens, and I think with that sort of momentum came the trans rights movement. And I think it was the perfect time for us to sort of take our stand.
Do you feel there's sort of a pressure on transgender actors to sort of be a voice?
I do. I think even just trans people in general, I think there's a lot of pressure for them to sort of speak out and to be open about this and to sort of be a representative for the community. And um, I think that's everybody's personal decision, but I think right now what trans people need most is their voices to be heard. I think just in 2015 alone, we've had 7 murders of trans women. And, that's just insane. We have some of the highest suicide rates of the population, and definitely the most homicides. And so, people who just want to live their lives and not have to answer all these questions, I feel for them, but at the same time, I think now's the time to stand up for who you are.
Right. So would this be a role you'd be willing to take if you have this opportunity to speak out about it?
Yeah, for sure. I've gotten so many messages from all sorts of trans people and parents of trans kids and LGBTQ kids, and it's amazing. And I hope that I am representing my community, representing it well, and sharing accurate information. As long as everybody else is cool with it, I like being a voice for trans people.
What's your next plan? Aside from promoting the film, do you have any plans to keep going with acting?
Yes, yes, I'm going to be moving to New York, I believe this summer. I'm working with an agency right now, and I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. And hopefully, I will not be typecasted to only do trans roles. I think it would be amazing if I could just play, a cis role or just a female on a show.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated talking to you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
have a good night. Bye.